singing about the world and how we ought to know about injustices occurring on a daily basis. People going about their day with frowns on their faces. Social values stagnant, need a new beginning. There's only one song we should be singing. It goes, live your life in a compassionate fashion. Don't blindly follow the dollar, follow your dreams and your passions. Well, money will get you so far, let your love be your guide. Through the broken society we see outside. Normal rights eroded by them hour by hour. Decadent fools from public schools and positions of power. Their hearts are twisted, outlook warped, their morals are sour. When politicians make the rules, the people cower. Some do not feel listened to when they speak. Passive disillusionment, their outlooks bleak. Corporate support and lack of real thought, shareholders kept sweet. But who is there to represent the poor and weak? I'm singing, live your life in a compassionate fashion. Don't blindly follow the dollar, follow your dreams and your passions. Well, money will get you so far, let your love be your guide. Through the broken society we see outside. A human rights bill, they following their own will. Their welfare cuts and boom and bust are making you feel ill. A thoughtful, peaceful attitude is what we need. Turn yourselves away from the contempt and greed. We need fresh ideas, we need conscious thought. Instead we get an election which is easily bought. The richest back their bitches on the campaign trail. The poorest boast on stay afloat, the wealthy sail. I'm singing, live your life in a compassionate fashion. Don't blindly follow the dollar, follow your dreams and your passions. Well, money will get you so far, let your love be your guide. Through the broken society we see outside. Live your life in a compassionate fashion. Don't blindly follow the dollar, follow your dreams and your passions. Well, money will get you so far, let your love be your guide. Through the broken society we see outside.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It's sorry for the couple of shows we missed. Well, no, we only missed one, didn't we? We missed last Tuesday because I was just about to go on air. My computer went tits up. Jason was in hospital. And it's all been a bit of a helter-skelter since then, but I've managed to get my old laptop working, so we're back on air. And I've got Ade with me tonight. How you doing, Ade?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody will be wanting to know, because it's the question that seems to be asked most in the chat room. How's Jason? He's, I think his operation was successful ostensibly, but it appears he's picked up some sort of a bug while he's in there. So he's, to quote somebody who's not here tonight, he's shaking like a shitting dog and sweating a lot.
Yeah,
Jason.
I spoke to him. Well, I spoke to him pretty much a couple of times a day. And when I spoke to him this afternoon, he says, "Oh, you know, I think I'll be all right for later." And then in the next breath, he told me how at the moment he can't even get upstairs. And the toilet at Jason's house is upstairs.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's all sorts of logistics that I'm not going to go into. But, you know, for somebody who can't even use the loo at the minute, he's best off just kind of chilling, you know.
Yeah. So if you're listening, Jason, we're all sending you all our love and healing vibes and any other shit we can send you as well. Anybody who's got any spare cash, I'm sure he'd be pleased with that. If you want to send him any of that, that might help. You never know. But, yeah, that intro we played in, unfortunately on this machine I haven't got any of Heath's tracks, and that was an absolutely amazing guy. We met for the second time when we were away for the weekend, over the bank holiday weekend. We went to the Beltane Festival at Spirit of the Marsh again, and we managed to meet up with Doug, who was in the chat room as See You at Spirit the other week. Lovely guy, Doug. He came up with some really interesting thoughts, which I'll bring up later if I remember it. But Greg, he goes by the name of Ukulele Vagabond. We saw him last year around the campfire playing ukulele and singing a bit. This year he did a spot on Saturday night, and boy, he got the place rocking. There was him and one of his mates, and not only was he doing calypso and reggae, but they were doing a bit of rapping as well, and it was absolutely bloody fantastic. But that song Compassion, the words say it all. You know, it's what we're about, it's what we do. Live your life in a compassionate fashion.
Well, I couldn't hear that, because on that machine that you've got running tonight, Andy, which, for those listening, Andy did confess to me earlier that on the one tiny laptop screen that he's got working tonight, he's got about 7 different applications open to be able to run it. So not only can I not hear the music that Andy plays, he's got to keep shifting things out of the way so that he can even see what's going on. But I couldn't even hear that music, so
yeah, well,
I have no idea what you've just been talking about.
It's a bit of a bonus you not being able to hear it, because I just know. Oh, fucking hell, what's that you playing?
Listen, if you heard that round a campfire, and what you did say was, if I remember later, you'll talk about something. I guarantee you're not going to remember, because if you were round a campfire, one, you will have been off your face, and secondly, you were probably at least naked, if not semi-naked.
No, well, the thing is, it was in the east coast of England the first weekend in May. Now, I don't know when the last time you went to Mablethorpe was, but it ain't that fucking warm to be naked.
I went there once on a Wednesday and it was shut.
Oh, yeah, it's all shut on a Wednesday.
I mean, it's not quite the end of the world, but you can see it.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that weekend away, because it was just a fabulous weekend. It's our 3rd visit, and for anybody who's a bit of a loose end that weekend next year, you've got to go. You don't have to be a pagan to go. It is a pagan festival, but there's people there, all kinds of beliefs. Apparently, they don't sacrifice Christians as a rule, but they can make an exception if you're a bit of a dick. So just be warned about that.
Well, most of the Christian religions' festivals have been stolen from pagans anyway, so...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I heard somebody saying, I think it was moaning about immigration or Muslims or something the other week. Somebody was saying, we're a Christian country. I mean, no, we're fucking not. We're a pagan country that got invaded by Christians.
Yeah, exactly right.
But, no, the kind of people that are there are really my kind of people. We originally went to our first Beltane meeting because we'd always been trying to arrange to meet up with Sarah Goodley, but what with her being busy and us being busy, it just never happened. And she says, why don't you come for the weekend? So we did. And we enjoyed it so much. We've been every year since, apart from the year we booked something else, not realising it was that weekend. So we're not going to make that mistake again. But Sarah and all the organising team, there's Sarah and Julie, and Gary books the entertainment. My team books the speakers for the last couple of years. And one guy I really do want to say a few words about is Guy. And Guy, I've known Guy now nearly as long as I've known Sarah, about 4 years now. And he's a lovely bloke. But what impresses me so much about Guy's outlook on life and the way he lives his life. Guy's a young man who is probably not the happiest. I think he may be borderline depressed a lot of the time, and he's got quite a miserable life in some ways. He's got some medical conditions which are not easy to deal with, but that young man spent the whole weekend and apparently most of the week before just running about like a nutter all weekend just to make people happy. And when he saw that he was making people happy, that was enough for him.
Yeah, and I have to say that most people that I've ever come across in whatever we call this bloody thing that we are, people who know the truth, or I don't know what you call it.
Well, I think Dave Von Kleist summed it up well with the 9/11 bowel movement. You know.
Yeah, he did. But what I have to say is the probably the most altruistic people I've ever met. You know, happy just to do something for somebody else because you can.
Yeah.
And I know a few weeks ago we were talking, just before I went on my horse, we were talking about instead of paying things back, you know, you can never repay somebody for what they do for you. It's impossible. Doesn't matter how big or small it is.
No.
One, they probably never want it or expect it. And what we came up with was paying it forward. And from what you've told me about this thing that you went to, it just seems to me that it's full of people who are just happy to live their life, paying things forward. And that's what we should all do, because the place will be a lot bloody better. And if we all forgot about government and just ignored it out of existence and paid everything forward to the other people that we come into contact with, no matter how well you know them or how little you know them, just pay things forward all the time. The world would be, well, it would be, it wouldn't be an awesome place, but it'd be a lot bloody closer to awesome than the shit that we've all got now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's a perfect example. I mean, there was some belting music played in that entertainment tent every evening. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got a lineup of bands from, I think the bands start playing about 5, 6 o'clock, and they play right through till 11 o'clock when they've got to shut off because you're not allowed to have amplified music because of the neighbours. Fair comment. And after the music's finished in the entertainment tent, that all gets switched off and we all go round the campfire. And the campfire's kept going all weekend. That's part of the festival. That's part of the ritual. And Friday night, we didn't go to the campfire. We were both too knackered. We were both in bed by about 11:15. But Saturday night, we trogged over at the campfire and we were just stood there shivering a little bit. And I was thinking, this is awesome, because people were getting up and they were singing and there was guitars there. But it was, the atmosphere was just incredible. Now, as I say, we've known Guy a few years now, but we'd no idea that he could sing. And he just stood up and he belted this song out. And, sorry, I'm joking up. Tina and I both melted into floods of tears. It was just mind-blowing. And he sat down, and as he sat down, the guy next to us pulled a harmonica out of his pocket and he played this really haunting melody. It was beautiful. I turned to him at the end. I said, wow, thanks for that, man. That was beautiful. What's it called? And he went, no idea. I just made it up. So I walked over to a guy. I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, dude, that was fucking amazing. Do you know what? There's only one thing that would make this night better. And he went, what? I went, fuck off back to the beer tent and get us a pint of cider. As a joke. So off he scoots back to the beer tent, comes back a few minutes later with a flagon of cider and a can for Tina. I said, I was only joking, you pillock. He said, yeah, I know you was. But he said, I want to make people happy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mean, that is just, you can't, if you've got people like that in your life, you can't hope for any more. money and all that shit. It's
And do you know one of the biggest compliments anybody ever paid me or my friends was actually my ex-fiance. When we first got together, told her I was a biker, and she said, "Oh, right, okay." Anyway, she then just sort of started to see a few of my friends who just looked like typical bikers. Every cliche you could think of, they looked like it. And you could see her sort of cowering in the corner thinking, oh my God, what have I got myself into? And then she went away on a bike weekend with me, came back and said, I've had an awesome time. I would have crossed the road to avoid most of your mates, but what a fantastic bunch of people. And boy, they'll do anything for anybody, won't they?
yeah.
You know, and there were millionaires there, but there were also guys who, a week beforehand, the bike was in bits in the garage. They hadn't got any money or whatever to put it back on the road. So all the mates had kind of clubbed together, been around the garages, got bits for the bike that had fit, and, you know, and it didn't matter whether you were a millionaire or whether you hadn't got tuppence to scratch your ass with. As far as they're concerned, everybody there was a biker. And it doesn't matter whether it's a pagan thing or a biker thing, or it doesn't have to be an anything thing. Let's just be nice to each other.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. We've just got wafer thin ham barb. Is that Heath? I know we get some pretty smart chat room names, but I haven't got ham barb. What's a ham barb? I don't know. Maybe you'll explain later. He said, "Is it a tent jobby, Spirit of the Marsh?" Yeah, a lot of people do go with tents, caravans, camper vans, whatever. But if you haven't got a camper van or a caravan and you're a bit of a spaz like me and my good lady, then there is a caravan site about 100 yards from the entrance there. What's it called? Greenfields Caravan Site, I believe. It's Trusthorpe, between Mablethorpe and Sutton. And I can tell you their caravans are bloody spot on. It makes it a bit of an expensive weekend if you're staying in there compared to tenting it. But if you, like us, you can't manage camping and you want to get a weekend away, it's a lovely way of doing it. We had one of their caravans right by the gate, and even as crippled as we are, we could manage to walk backwards and forwards at the beginning and end of the day. It was the whole crowd that were there were friendly. I mean, some of the conversations I had, you wouldn't believe. There's one guy I spoke to, Ashley Mortimer, and he's agreed to come and do an interview. Now, the reason I wanted to interview him was because he did a talk about what it's like to be a Wiccan, a witch, in modern society, and perhaps dispelled a few myths that people would think about that, you know, because we all think witches and pointy hats and stuff like that, and a lot of it's really not true or not accurate. There's a whole different side to it that I didn't know anything about. I think a lot of us are starting to realise now that magic is a very real thing. If you start looking into quantum physics far enough, it even explains that, or that it leads you to believe that magic could be real and how it might work. But Ashley was a fantastic guy, so Jason's interviewed a king, so I thought, well, I'll do my bit and interview a witch soon. So we're going to get Ashley on and have a chat with him about witchcraft, maybe dispel a few myths. And I said to him, I says, oh, well, I said, we do get a few piss takers in the chat room. He said, oh, that's no problem. He says, if we get any piss taking questions, I'm used to them. I know how to deal with them. I've had 1,000 times before. But, he's a lovely bloke.
All we need is a line and a wardrobe for that night then as well. So
you can sort that out. If I bring the witch, you can bring the line and the wardrobe.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, when you said, oh, magic and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm just completely open to anything like that, simply because, I don't know, what can I use as an example? The light spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, even when I was at school, they told us, oh, this is the bit we can see. but this is the bit that we can't see, and this is how radio waves work, and this is how microwaves work, and this is how, because microwaves were just, when I was at school, they'd be, what you mean you can cook your tea in 10 minutes? What, you joking? Well, yeah, but it's part of that spectrum that we can't see.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I got into radio and worked on radio and television. Oh, yeah, but that's within the bit that we can't see. Well, how much more is there that we can't see? There's God knows how much we can't see. So who's to say whether it's magic, whether it's a different part of some spectrum that we don't know? So, and that's why I'm always completely open to anything like that. I might have a giggle and a chuckle halfway through, but that's nothing other than the conditioning we get when we're at school.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about that and what we can see and what we can't see, I watched a very interesting talk, quite a new one from Linda Moulton Howe, and it's something I've kind of dabbled with before. I've kind of had a look at Tom Campbell and My Big Toe, Toe being theory of everything. He's a rocket scientist basically who's wrote down his theory of everything, and the question was, are we living in someone else's computer simulation? And some of the things she went into there, I mean, I think most of us have heard now who've cared to look at that when you start to look at the numbers that crop up when you start examining the structure of reality, there is not only computer code in there, but there's error correcting code, which has only been developed in the last few years. So really, also we're told. Yeah, well, if you think about it, if there are other intelligences out there and they're far more advanced than us, then there's absolutely no reason at all why we couldn't be in their computer simulation. Because if you're in a simulation, you don't realise it's a simulation. It's only when you're outside the simulation that you can see it's a simulation. I mean,
that's a bit like when the slaves used to. If a slave decided he was going to try and escape, the other slaves would almost see that he was trying to steal himself from the master. It wasn't in their eyes, because they were so indoctrinated into that system. Anybody who tried to get out of it was trying to steal themselves from the man who owned them. There was no self-ownership or anything like that. And that. So how different that is in modern times? Is it or isn't it? And if I was in a superior race and I was looking down at us, I wouldn't talk to us. I would think, what a fucking bunch of indoctrinated arseholes. They believe in something that isn't government. And we've all seen, the thing where if you try and explain government to an alien, that's going to be a laugh.
Yeah.
And how you'd look down and you'd go, how thick and stupid are these? Why on earth? What can we learn from them? Nothing. Do we want to teach them what we know? Absolutely not, because it'd be like giving them, weapons that they have just no idea what to do with. And then we'll just end up destroying ourselves even quicker than we are now.
Yeah. Well, going on from that, and you're saying about you're very open-minded. I tell you, it's something that I've mentioned maybe once or twice before on the show, and I think it's something that it would be well worth everyone taking a look at, and that's a series of, some of them are interviews, but it's mostly talks by the dark journalist Daniel List. It's available on YouTube, or you can go to thedarkjournalist.com. And he recently did an interview with a Houston Plan insider about Richard Nixon's time capsule, and I thought that was pretty earth-shattering stuff. But then he went on to do this the X series. Now, he does his show, I think he does it live. It goes out about 1 o'clock in the morning here, but it's whatever time it is. He's in Boston in the USA. So. No, I think it's 7 there, so it'll be midnight it starts here. Every Friday night, and there were 9 episodes up until this week, and episode 10, it's all about X. And the way X has been used in this, what he calls steganography. Steganography is a word I had no idea what it meant until he explained it. And steganography is a kind of a code, but not a code. In that if you know something's a code, you can start figuring it out. But if it's something that is a code, but it's only for those in the know, those with the inside knowledge, it can be put there in plain sight, and you don't have a clue that it's a code, but it tells the people who are in the know that there's something there important and worth looking at. And he's traced this X. He's gone back as far as the Sumerians, and he's connected it to the mystery schools, to the UFO file that's been held by the US government, and there's little feelers go out in all directions. And when I watched episode X part 1 that went out on Friday night, I thought, well, he says he's going to tie it all together in the next bit. He can't possibly. There's so many disparate things that. And I watched last night, and it was about 2.5 hours, and boy, was that. It was really mind-blowing, the way he tied it all together. And it goes into Rudolf Steiner and Blavatsky and Theosophy and those kind of mystery schools. And I would thoroughly recommend everybody and anybody to watch that, because it...
Just run that title by us again, Andy.
It's on darkjournalist.com, and it's the X series. I think he'll probably have his own playlist on there for that, but it's basically the last 11 live shows that he's done. And it's probably about thick end of 24 hours to catch up on that. But I would recommend everybody to get stuck in. If you don't believe how important I'm saying it potentially could be, then I suggest you just listen to the most recent episode first, and you think, shit, what happened there? I need to go back and look at this. Because it's kind of changed the way I'm looking at this whole thing. It really has.
Well, if we can only see a fraction of what's really out there, and we only understand a fraction of the fraction that we can see, and the bit that we think we understand is only because some teacher or some book at school came up with a theory, because I spent more time learning theories than facts when I was at school. I didn't realise at the time, but I do now. So I know fuck all. I know nothing compared to what I ought to. That's for sure. So, and that literally is why I'm sort of open-minded. Anybody comes up to me and says I'm a witch, okay. Fine. I'm a fat bloke, but it's.
I was actually in conversation with a woman who claimed she had magical powers. Skype conversation, and she said, I can make myself disappear, And the third party on the conversation went, go on then. Oh, not now, don't be stupid.
Oh, looks like Mad Hatter in the chat room has just put a link to what you've just been talking about. That's great. Oh, just one comment in the chat room that it moves pretty quick, but I'm trying my best to keep my eye on it. I've only got 2 things running on my screen, but I've got a second screen on a tablet to keep my eye on the chat room. And John Hull has put, are the bills of exchange a simulation? Well, I'm afraid, John, we're going to have to wait until tomorrow night till Webby comes on. because Webby's on a late shift tonight, so he's. I don't think he's going to be joining us before 9 o'clock.
Yeah. It's a shame that Paul couldn't be with us because, but
in his own words, I think he's got 8 days of shitty shifts to do.
Ah, right, yeah.
Because I know some shifts at work are only 4 hours, and some shifts at work are 12 or 13 hours, and it just depends on how things fall. And just to make it really complicated as well, they give him a plan for the month ahead, so he can sort of plan his nights and when he can do the shows with us, and then they go just go and completely change when he's supposed to be at work. So it can be a bit hit and miss with Webby, but we'll just have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries.
Exchange, but I would just like to point out it did take at least 29 minutes before one of us mentioned it, and I think it took something like 18 minutes before it came up in the chat room tonight, which has got to be a bit of a record.
Yeah, fair comment. On the subject of John and his message, I've got a message from John, and he tried to post it in the chat room, but
the Noel Edmonds one.
It didn't work. Yeah, so if that's okay with you, John, I hope it is. I'll read that message out. So he's got an update from Noel Edmonds. And
is that the Noel Edmonds, or is that a...
I would think it is the Noel Edmonds, but we'll read it through and it might become clearer as we go on. It says, I'm presuming this is Noel's words. It says, I've been on an incredible journey over the past 15 months, and I do mean incredible in the true sense of the word, because much of what I've seen, heard and experienced is beyond belief. Ooh, yeah, it sounds like my life. The brazen lying of Lloyds Bank executives is truly astonishing. The arrogance of their CEO, now dubbed forever Haughty Nosorio, and their chairman, Lord Black Horse, is absolutely breathtaking. The way in which these two make public statements of contrition and responsibility and promise swift action to compensate victims and return their losses, but then do very little, or in the majority of cases, absolutely nothing, not only destroys public trust in the bank, but also is a major stain upon the reputation of the City of London. Andrew, I'm desperate to be the next governor of the Bank of England. Bailey, CEO of the FCA, is so...
And he will be.
Sorry?
He will be.
Okay. He's so utterly useless that he has to be considered as complicit in the massive Lloyds cover-up, which was blown apart last week. Indeed, these 7 days will go down as the most significant milestones in the victim's journey to destination justice, and the successful prosecution of the former and current senior Lloyds Bank executives. Number one on the list has to be Haughty Nosorio, who knew about the findings of the Turnbull report when he took the job in 2011, but whenever asked about what he knew about HBOS criminality prior to the acquisition by Lloyds, always shrugged his shoulder and said, I know nothing.
Yep.
As I've said before, surely the CEO of a major bank should know everything about the past and present operations of the bank, particularly where there is proven wrongdoing and criminality. For Haughty Nosorio to claim ignorance means he's either a liar or a shit banker. Whichever he is, Nosorio is unfit to occupy any position in the finance industry. So why do I believe the last 7 days are so significant and momentous? Lloyds Bank has always denied knowledge of the wrongdoing in HBOS. However, this position is now untenable. The Thames Valley Police and the Crime Commissioner, Anthony Stansfield, tore into Lloyds Bank executives in his interview on Channel 4 News. He didn't mince his words. He stated categorically that Lloyds Bank had known about the criminality since 2008, and 3 chairmen, CEOs and senior counsel all knew about the crimes but chose to cover them up. The Turnbull report has been suppressed since 2013. Lloyds Bank highly paid lawyers have threatened anyone and any organisation with desired consequences if the report was made public. However, a very brave whistleblower has defied the threats, and the Thames Valley Police, the National Crime Agency and campaigners Paul and Nicky Turner have all seen the report, which utterly destroys the remaining credibility of Lloyd's management. I've been aware of the report for almost a year and have read large sections of it. Another significant development has been the involvement of one of those currently behind bars. Michael Bancroft is serving 10 years for his part in the worst crime in UK banking history. Last week he decided it was time to confess, and he wrote a damning letter to the MP Kevin Hollinrake, who then under parliamentary privilege launched the most incredible attack on Lloyds Bank. So what's going to happen next? There are now a number of very important issues, all of which are very bad news for Lloyds Bank and its management. How will the board explain their reasons for the cover-up and years of lying when they are cross-examined by shareholders at the forthcoming AGM in Edinburgh? Lloyds always refers to the crimes as the Reading incident, but the Turnbull report makes it very clear that the criminality was much more extensive and was systematic within the whole region of London and the South East, and the wrongdoing was orchestrated by senior management at the London HQ, Bishopsgate. Lloyds always referred to just a few rogue bankers in the Reading office, but we now know there were many others involved in the criminality.
It's endemic.
Indeed, Thames Valley Police are already treating my case as a criminal investigation. Whilst I cannot, for obvious reasons, reveal details, it is reasonable for you to presume that TVP, at Thames Valley Police, and now the National Crime Agency would not be spending public money on further Operation Hornets if they didn't believe there would be prosecutions that were most certainly in the public interest. My lawyers originally intended to commence proceedings against Lloyds Bank weeks ago, but the delay is because the private investigators I've retained are unearthing a wealth of information which proves beyond any reasonable doubt that not only am I a victim of crime, but the criminality extends way beyond the activities of my former bank manager Mark Dobson, now serving 4.5 years in prison. Obviously all the information that I now have has been passed to Thames Valley Police, and it will be made available to the National Crime Agency, now investigating Lloyds Bank. The decision by the convicted criminal MICH, and then it's gone, so sorry I haven't got the end of that, but that's quite an exciting story. I haven't heard anything of what's been going on this week because my computer's been down. I've only just got my laptop sorted. So, wow. Thanks for that, John.
Yeah, I mean, even if you believe in the financial system, if you remember, money is only ever created as debt. Mm-hmm. Kind of just wipes the floor with everything. We go back not that long ago when HSBC were fined God knows how much for a whole list of things, including money laundering. And then you've got this with Lloyds Bank, the FCA, and of course I spoke before about the TV advert that said that come to Lloyds Bank and we will lend you money for a mortgage.
Oh, really?
So I wrote to the FCA and the advertising standards, and basically the answer I got back from the FCA was now to do with us. And the one from the advertising people basically said, yeah, but it's within the spirit, because I said they don't lend money, they just facilitate credit, and there's a big difference. And the answer I got was, well, it's within the spirit of the advert. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mean to shoot him dead, because I didn't realise there was a bullet in the gun, so it's not within the spirit of it that you can arrest me. I mean, come on. For God's sake.
It's a joke, isn't it?
It doesn't matter which of these things that ever come up. It's like when, with people going to court about mortgages, And the judge has actually said, yes, you're right, but if I find in your favour, it'll bring the whole of the financial system crashing down to its knees. So I can't find in your favour, so I'm going to find against you. So even when we know, and the judge has said, you're right, we still lose. Because this world ain't broken, it's fucking working perfectly. It's not for my benefit, and it's not for your benefit. And by the sound of it, it's not for Noel Edmonds' benefit either.
No, absolutely not. Interesting question from Mad Hatter in the chat room. He said, there may only be one problem, though. Does the top cop at the Met have shares with Lloyd's?
No, but he's probably common purpose.
And I'm sure he...
And a Mason.
Oh, without doubt.
And, he'll probably have a cousin in America who's skull and bones. And at the end of the day, it's all Rockefeller and Rothschilds at the centre of everything anyway. Mm-hmm. So, you see all these different names of banks. And we know that, is it the Halifax that's owned by Lloyd's? And, we know there's that. An H-Boss and all these local banks. Because I used to have a HSBC account. But I never joined HSBC. I had a Midland bank account. But of course it got bought out by HS. And we know all that goes on. But what I'm saying is it's the hidden stuff of who owns what. And once you look into that, and you realise that it all goes back to the same families. The same 13 families.
Yeah, you know who started HSBC, don't you?
No.
It was a gentleman called, well, you use the term gentleman loosely, called Ewan Cameron. He's got quite a well-known grandson.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, who's 6'2" and a wanker, yeah.
Yeah, apparently didn't Jason tell him so in the toilets at Donington Park Services not long back?
That's right, he did, yeah. Followed him into the bog and told him he was a wanker, apparently, yeah.
I wish we could have filmed that. We could have made great use of that, I'm sure.
Mm. But and as annoying as it is that we've got these massive institutions that will find a scapegoat, it'll get spun in the media, and then, something else will come along. They'll decide to let a bomb off somewhere to divert all the information, all the attention somewhere else. The bottom line is, money don't exist. Yes, I can walk to the shop with it, and yes, I can exchange it with Mr. Patel or Mr. BMW or, Mr. Sainsbury or whoever for goods or services, but it is only ever created as debt. And once we understand that 13 families own everything, and I mean everything, and if they don't quite own it, don't worry, they'll create a boom and bust soon so that they can sweep up, your little business that you own. They'll do that really soon, so it's only a matter of time. 13 families own everything, and money is only ever created as debt. And yes, all this stuff that's going on is important. And clearly the Noel Edmonds stuff is important. And the fact that we lied to on adverts when they say, come and borrow money from us. Well, you're not lending us anything. And then you're going to charge us interest on what you haven't really lent us. And then you're going to try and repossess something that you never possessed in the first place. Well, how the fucking hell is that supposed to work for me then? And the answer is, it's not. It's not supposed to work for you, because this world ain't broken. It's just designed so that we scrape round for nothing, and the 13 families scoop everything up and leave us with, well, it's not even the wheat and the chaff anymore, is it? It's just, and that's how they get us. And everybody having to work more and more hours to earn less and less money, and they've got us all running around on this hamster wheel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's...
And it really doesn't matter what subject we talk about. That last 2 minutes worth of rant that I've just had is almost at the centre of everything.
Oh, Jesus.
There's one here, mad at. Where the fuck does this imaginary money come from? Well, if you haven't heard me moan on about this enough, it's dead easy. What happens is, I need £1,000 to replace my front door. And I go and borrow it from the bank. But nobody moves £1,000 into my bank. Nobody goes into the vault and moves it. It doesn't exist. It's actually created by my signature on that, well, we'll call it a loan application. And then, because I've got £1,000 in my bank account, which I haven't really, but I've got £1,000 worth of something I can spend, fractional reserve lending, the fraction is 10, they add a naught. So they can lend £10,000 to somebody else. Then they can lend £100,000 to somebody else, and then £1 million. So that's 4 transactions, well over £1 million created out of nothing, and that happens hundreds of thousands of times every day throughout the world. And that's where inflation comes from, because if you dilute something, there is an infinite amount of imaginary money. And the more they generate, the less the value is of what you've got in your pocket. So the price of a pen doesn't go up from £1 to £1.05. The value of what you've got in your pocket goes down by 5%, because they keep printing the fucking stuff quicker than me and you can sleep. That's where imaginary money comes from. That is the Rothschilds banking system. And wherever there isn't a banking system like that, you can guarantee that there'll be a war there soon.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Americans and the English and NATO will go in there, decide that there's a bogeyman running the country, they'll tell everybody that he's bad, they'll create a war, they'll destroy it, and then we will rape and pillage all the lithium or the oil or whatever it is that they've got in the ground, and that's what we will take, because that's what we do. But thank you for your service. Fuck your service, fuck your war, and fuck your flag. But thank you for your service. The amount of times I heard that in America, and the amount of times I had to bite my fucking tongue. But thank you for your service. Because, of course, there's an Iraqi or an Afghanistan guy or somebody from Iran or somewhere in Persia or somewhere in the Middle East round every corner in New York that's about to fucking shoot everybody, isn't there? So thank you for your service, because we sent you over there to shoot every fucker just in case there was. What a load of bollocks.
I'm just reading some of Mad Hatter's comments. I think I've worked out who it is.
Who is it?
I think it's Patrick. Good evening, Patrick. And well,
I'll tell you what, they know how to set me off on a money rant, don't they? And the reason I'm like that is because I worked in that industry for the best part of 2 decades, and I now look back at myself and think, how could I have been so fucking stupid, never ever to see what was right in front of my face?
Well, that's the thing. There's ignorance, and then there's nescience. Ignorance is not knowing.
Yeah.
But nescience is not knowing that you don't know.
Yeah.
And we were nescient.
Yeah,
it's a really good
just
word.
call myself a thick fucker for not fucking realising.
It's a really good word, that. I've never heard it spoken, but I don't think by anyone other than Vin Byrne on People's Internet Radio. And if you're listening, Vin, I'd like to thank you for that word, mate.
Mm. Oh, Mad Hatter says, spot on, Andy. See, obviously you got that right. Yeah, so if you want to know how to set me off on a rant, just talk about money, because it really fucks me off, because that's at the centre of everything, and that's how they control us. You know, so it really, you know, when they say money is the root of all evil, well, money that don't fucking exist really is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who's at the root of it all? 13 families, and who's the one at the top? Well, I'll give you a clue. The fucking grandson's getting married on Saturday. Yeah, have a fucking day off.
Oh, is there more of them bastards getting married?
Is it this Saturday? I mean, I didn't even know they'd got 3 kids or what, I don't know. Is it this weekend?
Oh, I haven't got a Scooby, mate, like I said.
I think it is the cup final this weekend.
Pass.
All right, because I think you're about into football as much as I am, aren't you? So.
Maybe even slightly less.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're getting married on the day of the cup final. So, but I'll be busy having a shit that day, so I won't be watching the royal wedding.
Oh, well, yeah, there's obviously far more important things to do.
Yeah, like having a shit and being nice to people. Yeah, sorry. You know how to get me off on a rant, don't you? Just talk about money. And the reason it pisses me off is because I see at work every day people who have got nothing. And I mean nothing. Nothing. You know, and I haven't got a problem with capitalism, if you like. You know, people making money from an invention or an idea or even if it's buying a container load of clothes and going to a market and selling them, or inventing something that everybody in the world must have because it's such a good idea and they make billions. I ain't got a problem with that.
No.
But when it's not just the odds are stacked against us. I mean, it's like they have a game of poker, but we think we're playing fucking Snap. You know, we've got no chance of winning. And then we go to court because we lost. And then we turn up, we think we're playing football because they're the rules that we think are happening, but they're playing cricket. And so we lose again. And it's always stacked against us because we don't know the rules because we don't know how it really works.
Yeah.
And that's what fucks me off because this world is big enough for all of us. And it belongs to all of us, not just the fucking chosen few.
I thought it belonged to you.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm happy to share it with everybody. More than happy to share it with everybody.
Yes, this world belongs to Ade Hardy. It's his, so fuck off.
No,
yeah. While we're on, I have noticed we've been getting some brilliant comments on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that. But one thing I really do want to bring up, there's somebody who keeps commenting pretty much every week, just basically saying what a load of shit we're talking. And if you're listening, well, I know you must be, because you listen every week, and you always comment every week, and you always say what a load of shit we're talking every week. We've said it so many times. If you don't like what we're saying, don't fucking listen.
I've got a better idea. Do listen, but send us your info, contact us on the website, and come on and have a debate with us.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's got something to say that we hadn't thought of, I want to fucking hear it. Because if I'm wrong about all this shit, that's fine. Because if I know something, and I know it, then I have to be open to that being tested to the nth degree. Because once it's been tested, if it really is true, it'll still be true. But if it's not true, I'll fucking learn something. So if whoever that is wants to come on, contact us on the website, you know, raconteursnews.com, and click the contact. Andy, is there a contact us bit? I'm sure there is.
There
I know
is
it's
a
you and Jason
contact
that look
bit.
after it.
There is a contact bit, but if you're struggling to find it, just fire off an email to info@raconteursnews.com. That'll get to me, and I'll certainly deal with it.
You know, and come on and talk to us. You know, and by all means, ask me what I believe and why I believe it. And if you then take me to task over it and you win the argument, I'll love you forever. Because I want to know. I want to know what the fucking truth is. I think I know what the truth is about the money and how it's all organised and how it's designed to keep everybody running around for nothing. But
I'm just looking drunken Leeds. He says, "Oh dear, have I been leaving drunken comments again?" No, I don't think it's you, mate. I think unless you're called John Smith, well, you know that's who keeps leaving these disparaging comments. Usually ripping apart the guests that we have on. You know, don't just that what a load of shit. I mean,
no, tell us why. Tell us why, because you know if you come up with some good points, we'd love to get you on.
Mm.
You know, somebody with a different view. And I don't care if you're a line, a witch, or a wardrobe. You know, come on.
Or all three.
Yeah. You know, just going back to guests, like, you know, we had Dave Von Kleist, and if you haven't listened to the Dave Von Kleist episode of Raconteurs, you really ought to.
Yeah,
Dave hadn't been on the radio in, about 10 years. And somehow Webby got him to agree to come on, and he was fantastic because the main thing for me was he didn't come up with theories, he asked questions.
Yeah.
So we couldn't be labelled as a conspiracy theorist. And actually, do you know, from that, Andy, from what Dave was saying, and he came up with a fantastic way of describing what a conspiracy theory was. If you remember, he went into the buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And I then started to Google and YouTube and whatever for a couple of days after that, like you do, you know, when you're bored. And I can't remember who came up with this one. It might even have been a David Icke. It might have been. And whoever came up with it, because I watched that much stuff, I can't remember, but said, you know, conspiracy theorists. Now, for me, that's a thought stopper. It's just designed to shut you up.
Mm.
But, you know, well, a conspiracy theorist, and this is moving on from Dave Von Kleist's explanation. What about if we swap the word conspiracy for coincidence? Is that not the boot on the other foot?
Yeah, of course.
Because if people really do believe that the American and the English government are really good at, after about 60 or 70 years, they'll release a document on the internet all over the place. And actually, all these so-called conspiracy theories are then, in part or often in full, you know, we find out that they actually are true. Mm. So is it a conspiracy that the same people that do that lied to us about 9/11, as an example, or is that a coincidence? Because I don't know about you, but I don't believe in coincidences.
Well, once is once, twice might be a coincidence, but once it happens 3 times, it's a pattern, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And you know, so now I'm fully armed. So if anybody says, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist," and well, that means you're a coincidence theorist then. Yeah. What do you mean? And then it'll open a debate.
Absolutely. You've only got to look at the phrase conspiracy theorist, and when that first came into use, or common usage, and I believe it was introduced by the CIA as a way of debunking anyone who didn't believe the whitewash that was the Warren Commission. Because
that's right, yeah. JFK.
It was full of shit.
Well, it was LBJ that said it, wasn't it?
I believe it may have been, but you know, what was that? 1963. God, yeah. that was the year I was born. So
it's 3 years before I was born, you old bastard.
It's going to be 55 years ago in November this year. Yeah. But you see, Trumpy. We've got what's his name? Clinton. Made a law that we got to release all the JFK files in whatever time it was, 2017, September, October time.
Yeah, that fucking happened then. Not.
So, and then Trumpy says, "Oh yeah, we'll release all the files," and then the CIA said, "Yeah, but you're not releasing this."
Because they're not. And the point is this: the politicians, the faces that we see, come and go, but the CIA are always there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're only one level. I mean, above that, and then it goes up and up and up and up and up until you get to the 13 families.
Yeah.
You know, so the faces that you see and all the rest of it, they all come and go. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's a Theresa May, a Cameron, or it doesn't matter. You know, they might wear a different colour tie, but the path is the same.
Absolutely, mate. I've just noticed we've just been going about an hour now, so...
yeah, we're going to chuck a tune on because I need a wee.
Yeah, chuck a couple of tunes on, a couple of more tunes from the Ukulele Vagabond, and hope you like it, because I fucking love it. If you're listening, Greg, thanks for the tunes, man. Really appreciate it. As soon as you get some more stuff out, we'd love to play it. But I love what you talk about, the lyrics of your songs, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. See you then.
Try some on the way. Robbie Weed.
Yeah.
It's red.
Red?
Yeah. It's good weed. The guy knows how to grow weed, but like that.
Is it?
Yeah.
They stolen all my ganja. Figured that day, now I've got to spend more to buy some more from the drug man. And you hear them say, there's no point to legalize it. It would send the world into crisis. They're waging a war that has had its day. I'm working long hard day, got to keep my outlook bright. I exercise and eat will make my body feel right. But sometime in the week when my work day ends, I choose to puff the sensei, listen tune with my friends. They're breaking down our doors, but it's not a moral crime. Just a couple evenings weekly, I don't smoke it all the time. I am not causing trouble, but they say I crossed the line. They think I'm acting badly, but I think I'm acting fine. Government came and they stole them, all my ganja. Figured that day, now I've got to spend more to buy some more from the drug man. And you hear them say, there's no point to legalize it. It would send the world into crisis. They're waging a war that has had its day. They're making it illegal, now the money's with the thug. They always seem remorseless about the normal folk they bug. I say it is a plant and they say it is a drug, always watching over me and treat me like a mug. I prove best to be an advocate of moderate use. I do not condone excesses, I do not condone abuse, but freedom to act in a positive way. Sometimes burn the ganja hook no matter what they say. Government came and they've stolen all my ganja. Figured that day, now I've got to spend more to buy some more from the drug man. And you hear them say, there's no point to legalize it, it would send the world into crisis. They're waging a war that has had its day. Flicker-doo that day, they're waging a war that has had its day. And you hear them say, they're waging a war that has had its day.
The night had been real scary, but the mood was still fine. Cruising bars in Plymouth just to have a good time. When suddenly out of nowhere they get some bad news. That's why I'm stood here singing about the leaky tap blues. My dealer's getting leery cause he hasn't been paid. My best friend's on a mission just to get himself laid. The landlord brings my phone and his voice sounds dismayed.
He'll be up all night. The ceiling's fucking sodden and the bedroom's a sight. I try to keep my cool and just that calm and polite. The bedroom's like Atlantis, you could captain a cruise. That's why I'm stood here singing about the leaky tap blues.
As Christopher Gregory's flatmates at his girlfriend's house, they were getting kind of frisky as he took off her blouse. He fumbled with her bra while sipping famous grouse. A normal night at home with his redhead spouse. They get the ghastly phone call around 1:15. He tried to change his trousers but fell flat on his ass. He fumbled out her front door about 9:24. The rain fell down in showers and the thunder did roar. An awful sight awaited him through his bedroom door. He sighed at his misfortune, under his breath he swore. It poured out of his ceiling and onto his floor. His bed was even wetter than he left it before.
His leaky tap has just ruined his Wednesday night. The landlord tries to fix it, he'll be up all night. The ceiling's fucking sodden and the bedroom's a sight. I try to keep my cool and just that calm and polite. The bedroom's like Atlantis, you could captain a cruise. That's why I'm stood here singing about the leaky tap blues.
The ceiling is damp. I'm sleeping on my friend's sofa like a drifter or tramp. To all my bros and sisters at the leaky tap camp, I'll sing it loud and proud through my custom-made amp. The problem will be fixed, we'll be back at home soon. Fingers crossed that'll be the end of our plumbing misfortune. My leaky tap has just ruined my Wednesday night. The landlord tries to fix it, he'll be up all night.
The ceiling's fucking solid and the bedroom's a sight. I try to keep my cool and just act calm and polite. The bedroom's like Atlantis, you could captain a cruise. That's why I'm stood here singing about the leaky tap blues.
And welcome back to Raconteurs News. I'm Andy Young, not Jason Holmes. And I'd like to start the second hour by apologising to all our Facebook Live listeners. I'm such a technical dimwit that I've never done Facebook Live. I've no idea how to do it, and I'd probably balls it up. So until Jason's better and back in the saddle, then we'll have to wait for Facebook Live there. But you can always listen to us on Spreaker.com/user/Raconteurs News, or you can go to our website, which is a lot easier. Just go to raconteursnews.com. Oh, but if you're listening to this, you'll know where you can listen to it. Cause
I was just going to say, is that not fucking preaching to the converted or what?
It is a bit. Somebody might have just stumbled across us by accident and think, what the hell's going on there? But I did get a message from Jason while we were in the break, and he was talking about ignorance, and I think he's got something he wants to add to that, because he said he might just join us for the last half hour. So,
oh, that's good. Yeah, I hope he does, yeah.
But I would like to I know we sent Jason our best wishes at the beginning of the first hour, but I would just like to point out to everyone that even though he's not in a very good shape, he did offer to produce tonight. So that's what a trooper Jason is, folks.
Yeah, yeah. He might be a ranty, shouty twat like all of us, especially me. But, you know, his heart's in the right place, and he really will do anything for anybody. So I just can't wait till my mate's back up and running, really. And I have to say, he's got an absolute trooper of a missus. You know, yeah. Not only does she put up with him, she looks after him as well.
You can't say fairer than that, can you?
No, the F's and T's really fuck you up, don't they? Anyway, yeah, just on the techie side of it, if anybody noticed, like I did, that the website still says things about the 8th and 9th, which was obviously last weekend. You know, there have been some technical issues and some health issues. Basically, Andy's computer decided that it wasn't anymore. Mm-hmm. It just decided that it was lumps of metal and plastic, and chose not to work at all. And also, the laptop that he's got, the letter M doesn't work on his keyboard. So he's having to think of different words tonight that haven't got an M in them. And I'm deadly serious. Well, so if you think that, you know...
the J and the M, you've got to bash them really hard. So unless I look at what I've typed before I click send, it could be a load of fucking gibberish that nobody's any idea what I'm talking about.
Right, okay, where were we? We were just about to get on to what I'd love to talk about.
Go for it.
Anarchy.
Oh.
I took a long time to get here. A few years ago, I got a mate called Jason who just kept bashing away and bashing away and bashing away at me. And I still can't remember exactly what it was that finally got me to look at the world differently. It has to have been to do with money. It's got to have been. And from there, I was off like a train. And I eventually got to the place that I got to the beginning of the path that I'm at now. And, you know, it's not the end. This life's a journey. It's, you know, it's not a destination. And I found myself constantly arguing with myself and losing. And that's because at the centre of everything, we're all supposed to believe that there's this leader that we need, and these laws that we need, and that somehow they're the saviour of everything, and they're all going to stop us all being attacked by somebody. This, you know, all this fear-mongering that goes on, and you just turn the news on and it's just in everything. And I found myself arguing with myself, because to have a protector in place that steals from you and will put you in a cage if you don't agree with them, in order to save you from somebody who might do something wrong by you, is completely fucking stupid. And, you know, if all of the laws were revoked tomorrow, including common law, you know, do no harm, death, harm, loss, breach of the peace, would I go out and kill anybody? Nope. Would I go and hurt anybody? Not knowingly. Would I go and steal from somebody and cause them a loss? No, not knowingly. And if I did, I'd put it right. You know, if I knock your fence down, I'd knock on your door and say, excuse me, mate, just knock your fence down. Give us till the weekend, I'll rebuild it. And I think that most people, you know, deep down, are like that. So what the fuck do we need all these laws for? And I found myself arguing with myself until it got to the point where I could no longer believe in government. Because we're told it's there to protect us, yet all it does is fear-mongering and lie to us. And we're all told that we need this thing. Well, anybody who tells you that, oh, you need it, really? For whose benefit then? Because government actually creates nothing positive. Because everything it so-called builds, it's got to take from us in the first place. And if you said to a lot of people, how do you feel about your tax money going to buy bombs to drop on little people, kids? Well, they'd be horrified. But yet everybody who pays tax does exactly that. And really, if you had a choice of where your tax pounds went, would you choose to buy those things? Most people probably wouldn't. But not only that, retired people would always vote for the guy who's going to do most for the retired people. In other words, he's going to steal off everybody else to give to them. Now, would that retired person come and knock on my door and demand 50 quid? No, he wouldn't. But he's happy to vote for somebody who will do that on his behalf. But if you actually ask somebody to make that link in their own head, you know, would the woman who's got 3 kids who gets child benefit, and I haven't got any problem with anybody doing that, but would that woman come and knock on my door and say, can you give me 20 quid this weekend? It's your turn to pay my 20 quid this week. No, she wouldn't. But she'd be happy to vote for somebody or have somebody in a place of so-called power to do that on her behalf. You know, would a woman down the road from me think would she come to your house, Andy, and kick your door in because she'd just watched you skin up on Skype? No, she wouldn't. But she'd be quite happy for the police to come and kick your door in on her behalf. And that, to me, being an anarchist, you know, we see all this stuff on, oh, it'd be total anarchy, yeah, people throwing petrol. That chucking petrol bombs and violence is not anarchy. Anarchy is taking responsibility for your own thoughts, your own actions, and being nice to everybody. Now, if somebody's an absolute tosser and, you know, commits violence towards somebody, then, you know, whether it's towards me or somebody I see in the street, I'm going to stick up for them. But not being violent towards somebody doesn't mean that I don't believe I shouldn't stick up for myself or other people. It just means I withhold the right to be violent towards somebody who's being a twat. I don't just go around being horrible to people. You know, and I always harp on about the 2 places that I got a lot of information from. And that's a guy called Larkin Rose, and he wrote a fantastic book called The Most Dangerous Superstition. And if you've not seen it, not read it or whatever, there's actually a YouTube where you can listen to it for free. It's about 10 hours. And it's just a guy who's narrated it. It's not a professional. It's just a guy who narrated the book. And Larkin Rose actually copyrighted his own book. Not because he wanted to earn a fortune from it, but because he didn't want anybody else to copyright it. And the other one where I got a lot of information and a lot of questions about myself was Josie Outlaw. And they're both on YouTube. There's loads of stuff. And it wasn't the fact they told me something new. It's that they actually got me to question what I thought was right and wrong. And is it right that I put a cross in a box to give somebody else, a so-called leader, permission to go and do wrong by somebody else because he's smoking a leaf? No, it fucking isn't. You know, and you know, all of our neighbours do this all the time. And politics is a bit like and paying tax and stuff is, to me, ridiculous. And we can get to, yeah, but, you know, who'll build the roads and who'll do all... Well, we will. We just won't have the fucking middleman in the way, creaming all the money off the top and sending businesses out of bloody business and scamming them for all the bloody money. You know, if you want to buy something, cut out the middleman because it's cheaper. Well, let's cut out the fucking most corrupt middleman this earth has ever seen. Government. Because that's what they do. And if you don't think this can work, then you could take a supermarket. You know, that supermarket buys in from manufacturers or food producers or whatever, and then people voluntarily come along and buy it and put it in a bag and take it home. Now, all that, or a farmer's market, all of that happened without government. If you break it down to its simplest form. I know there's taxes to be paid and the trucks on the road have got to be licensed and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that, you know, trucks shouldn't be safe on the road. Of course they should. Because it comes back to do no harm. You know, and if you put 80 tons on the back of a truck that's designed to carry 40 tons, you're going to kill somebody because the brakes won't work. It's fucking common sense. I'm not saying let's be stupid about this and be completely lawless. What I'm saying is, let's work out what the law should be for ourselves. Do we really need a government to tell us what we need to do? And the threat is always one of two things. If you don't do as we fucking say, we're either going to fine you or put you in a cage. Yeah. And all I'm saying is, it got me to thinking about questioning, do I think it's right that if I'm not prepared to go and knock on my neighbour's door and say, excuse me, it's your turn to pay my child benefit this week, or it's your turn to pay whatever I'm getting a benefit for, and I'm using that as an example because I don't take any benefits, and then nobody's got the right to do that. You know, to give a politician the right to do it, well, I haven't got the right to do that, and Andy, you've not got the right to do that. So how is performing some kind of fucking ritual on a piece of paper, how does that give somebody else the right to do it? Because if I haven't got the right to do it, and you haven't got the right to do it, and 100 other people haven't got the right to do it, how come if we all get together and put a cross on a piece of paper, it gives somebody else a right to do something that nobody's fucking got? Just doesn't make any sense to me when you break it down to its simplest form. Now, if we take away all that, and we can all then choose to help the lady next door who's got kids that ain't got any food, then we can choose to do that. And if we can then choose to help the old lady up the road who ain't got enough money coming in, we can all choose to do that within our own community and do what's important to us. And wouldn't the world be a much nicer place? But instead, we've got a corrupt government with an upside-down financial system that is exactly the opposite of what we're told, with them lying to us all the time, because then they release these papers and then they say that Oh, well, we can't release all of them. Yeah. And then half of them are shagging kids. Well, come on. Let's just be nice to each other. Now, for one person to believe in anarchy is, I was going to say ridiculous, but would do no good whatsoever. And for the growing number of people who believe it's kind of the right way to go, then, you know, it starts to get some legs. But if all of a sudden, overnight, we all said, hang on a minute, government, it's a fucking fiction, what's all that about? And we just ignored it all out of existence, game over. Game over. Because the only place that government exists is between your ears. And as soon as we all stop believing, I mean, my brother actually said to me, what, so we should do away with government? And I nicked a saying from Lark and Rose, and I went, well, no more than we should do away with Father Christmas. You know, and when you look at it, I think, hang on a minute. Yeah, it's true. You know, it doesn't exist. It is just fiction. And going back to that book title, it really is the most dangerous superstition. Because Andy, would you go to pick a country that's been invaded in the past 30 years? Would you yourself go over there and shoot somebody?
No.
No, but thank you for your service. You know, I mean, come on, what's the fucking difference? Because the soldier who goes to a foreign country to do that has got more in common with the people that he's shooting than the guy in the fucking suit who sent him there.
Mm.
You know, and without government, almost, well, I would even go as far as to say all of the bad shit that happens wouldn't. You know, and then people say, well, yeah, we'd have murderers on the street. Well, it fucking beats them all wearing uniforms, because there's more murder taking place in the name of and by government, whether it's police or whether it's a foreign army invading on some excuse like, what was it? Weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, he's got them. Fuck off, fucking liars. And that's all they do. They just have false flags to create a buzz so that the war machine goes in, and what makes money? War makes money. And if we really, really do want a peaceful place to live for you and your kids and your grandkids and all the generations that we've not even dreamt of yet, there's only one way to do that. And that's to stop imagining government. Because it don't fucking exist.
Good point. Very well made, Ade. But we've got a little bit of a what if from Honda 404, which I believe is well, I'm sure it's still Melvin. And he says, yes, your comments sound plausible, but people get ill and go through life traumas, and then others have to aid those which needs organisation. So do we return to tribal councils?
Well, at the end of the day, I'm not running for the leader of anarchy, because there shouldn't be one. Right? All I'm saying is, there are how many billion people? 7 billion people on this planet? And there's probably 7 billion better ideas than I've got. And I'm fucking sure there's 7 billion better ideas than the government have got. But what I'm saying is the opposite to what you think. I'm not saying we shouldn't look after each other. I'm saying that we absolutely should look after each other. But while ever we've got the shackles of, oh, the only way to deal with something is through the NHS. Well, yeah, that's fucking worked well, hasn't it? Because how many people, oh God, I mean in America, how many people are on painkillers? Fucking all of them.
Well,
There's something like 40% of the population of the States are on painkillers.
Yeah.
Now, hang on a minute. Did Mother Earth not provide us with everything that we need? Because all these petrochemical pharmacy drugs that are sold for money with the idea of Rockefeller. That's where it all came from. And then you get the NHS and blah, 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 and money, 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 money. It's all about money, money, money. And money don't exist. Yes, you can exchange this paper thing for goods or services, but when it boils down to it, it doesn't exist. And it is only put there as a fiction that we believe in so that we all, well, it's like a religion. Well, in fact, it is a religion. Government is a religion. There's some kind of deity that's imaginary. Yep. That's a religion then. Yeah, it's got commandments. Not just got 10, it's got fucking millions of them. And so many commandments that they make God knows how many new ones every day that we never even know that exist. You know, and, you know, people who say, oh, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Well, all that fucking means to me is that you're a brainless twat. Law-abiding. Oh, yeah, you do exactly what you're fucking told. So you'd go abroad, or you would get somebody else to go abroad in your name and shoot somebody that you've never met. Because that's what a law-abiding citizen does. That's what a law-abiding taxpayer does.
Yeah.
And as for the what-ifs, dunno. But wouldn't it be great if all that was yet to discover? You know, who would build the roads? Oh, I'm sure Mr. McAlpine would do all right of it. He'd still build roads. You know, we'd still pay him to do it, and we'd have an awful lot of our own fucking money to do it with. And there's nothing wrong with a collective of people, all with the same good idea. Nothing wrong at all. The only thing I'm saying is we don't need fucking government to lead us somewhere and to get us to pay for shit so that they can skim off all the money and shag all the kids. Any more questions in the chat room? Let's have a look.
I love Patrick's comment. If you make umbrellas, you want it to rain.
Well, yeah, it's true, isn't it? You know, and if we just go back to what Dave Von Kleist said about war, you know, it's the biggest money earner ever. Because people get injured and die. Well, those that get injured need medical care. And I can tell you, the people who don't get medical care in America, do you know how many homeless people I saw who had clearly had limbs blown off, who were sat at the side of the road with a cup and her dog, still wearing the fatigues that they'd come out the army wearing, and who wasn't looking after them? The same people that put a fucking gun in their hand and shipped them abroad.
Do you know what? I something really stunned me yesterday. It was last night, late last night. I was listening to the end of that broadcast by the Dark Journalist, and I hadn't quite finished my joint, so I thought, what else shall I listen to before I go to bed? And I saw that there was a new video from Sarah Westall. She's on YouTube. She's got she does a program she calls Business Game Changers, and she's looking at the cutting edge of technology. She's where I first really got into looking at this C60 carbon 60 technology. I know Super Leeds, he's got some. He said he's going to try it. Something I'd really like to try. It does seem to be incredibly beneficial for health in all kinds of ways, and she came out with something that just blew me away. She said that, do you realise that more veterans have committed suicide than were killed in Vietnam?
Oh my God.
More than were killed in the First World War. And
that's crazy statistics, isn't it?
And the government was saying, we haven't got any money.
Mm.
They've got fucking money for bombs and uranium and fucking nuclear power stations, but
yeah,
feeding, clothing and looking after the very people who've done their bidding is not high on their agenda, so they don't give a shit. Oh, well, yeah, they're in a bad way. What should we do? Oh, we'll drive them to suicide.
Yep.
We've got somebody who wants to join us, so I better just see if we can add him in there.
Oh, it wouldn't be Jason, would it?
It would be. I was
Is he there?
We better keep talking till he answers then. The pregnant pause while we wait for Jason.
Yay.
Oh, it says he's busy. Oh, well.
Oh, he's probably busy trying to ring you.
Yeah.
He's probably busy trying to ring you. Yeah, so, you know, but the reason I got to where I am now is because I just could no longer believe my own beliefs. And, you know, government makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. None. No sense whatsoever. I like that. Yeah, don't mention Jerusalem. Oh, is that Jason ringing you or?
No, I think we've got Jason on the call. Good evening, Jace. How you doing, mate?
Good evening, chaps. I've been better, but you know, I'm getting on mend. If I feel as much better tomorrow as I do today compared to yesterday, then we'll be heading in the right direction.
You sound a bit gruff, mate, but it's good to hear your voice. I'm pretty pleased I can't see you on the Skype call, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a sight. Yeah, my dad called round today and said I look dreadful. So it's probably best that you can't see me on Skype. I don't know why it won't let you. I'm trying to put my camera on, but it's just not letting me.
Don't worry.
No worries.
Fucking NHS, man.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, listen, if it weren't for the NHS or the people who work in it at the sharp end, I wouldn't have any legs.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm talking about. You see, you've just done the classic thing, right? Is all the good people that work at the NHS. I know they're all good people. I've just been in there. I know they're all good people. It's the fucking system that's broke. This procedure that I went in for was nothing but a fucking debacle from start to fucking finish. Nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. For the first day I was in hospital, they didn't even know I was in hospital. The next morning, I found a fucking thing. You know, one of them things they put around your wrist?
Yeah.
Well, I'd already got one on, and they'd left me another one because they didn't know I was there. The first night I was in there, absolutely, they did nothing. They did nothing. They showed I were put in a bed. My obs weren't taken. Nothing were done. That were it. And then second day, on Monday. So they've had me in overnight for fuck all. On the Monday, they took a blood test to take me INR and they give me some injections in my stomach and all this sort of shit. So they needed me INR to be below 1.5 before they do this procedure. And on Monday, it was 1.6. Mm-hmm. So you would have thought by Tuesday when we were going to have it done that it would have gone down even further, which it had done in the end, but not before. On the fucking morning, I've got myself all fucking psyched up. I'm all, you know, I know what's coming. I've had it done before. I got myself all psyched up. They come and they fucking drag me off in bed. Take me up to angio ward. Angio fucking whatever they call it, suite. And then they say, have you had a they go off and talking, and then they come back and she says, have you had a blood test this morning? I said, no. Nobody's come and took a blood test off me. Oh, well, we need to have a blood test off you. And you know what? You know when you have an INR blood test somewhere and it's just like a finger prick and then onto a, like when you're doing your blood sugar, and that gives you INR. Not them. Yeah. They need a fucking bath full. And then it needs sending off to a fucking lab. So they sent me back down to fucking ward. So I've got another 4 hours waiting there before they come and pick me up again. Oh, fuck it.
And then you come out with a book.
Now, then I get into the fucking thing, and it takes 3 hours. The cunt, I'm sure he were a masochist. He were trying all sorts of stuff. You know, I'm laid there completely still for 3 hours, completely awake. I can't move. My head's looking to one side. All I can see is the pictures of what's going on inside my vein in my leg, X-ray picture types things, and oh god, 3 fucking hours. One of them only takes an hour tops. Oh, and you just yeah. And then of course,
you come out with a bug. I mean, I'm now I've got MRSA, so any more operations that I might need, which I'm gonna do on my leg, you know, I'm fucked for that. And guess where I got MRSA?
Hospital.
I didn't fucking have it when I went in. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
But you're right. The system's fucked, mate.
But you see, right? I got this bug, right? When I got out, I got this bug, and this bug was fucking horrible. It were my missus got it first, actually. So we knew it had come from fucking hospital. So I gets this fucking bug. Now the bloke in the next bed to me, bless him, he were in a bad way, and he were coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing and being sick and shitting his head. Exactly the same fucking symptoms as I got now. Last night I fucking left a fucking trail of shit because I couldn't get to the toilet quick enough. So you know, and so the bloke in the next bed now, he obviously needed to be in a room on his own because he were in a bad way. I mean, on the day that he was I had my operation, he was taken to have his legs amputated. But when they got down there, they decided that he wouldn't survive it. So they decided to go and give him some dialysis instead, and hopefully that would like perk him up a bit and make him more. But no. But after the 2 nights, when I could go home, and I knew I could go home, and there were no way that I was stopping in there for another night. So it were about 11 o'clock when I was discharged. But you know, some people you see in there, you've got your regulars. There was this right nice old bloke who I spoke to briefly. He sort of came in on the day before the day before the op, and he was having a similar thing done, but only on his neck. A really nice bloke. I managed to see him afterwards when we went back to get some stuff. But so there's some good people in there. Some wankers as well, though. There were some kid on the ward. There was some kid who on the psychiatric ward had chopped his toe off.
Oh God!
And so he needed to be escorted at all times. So he got 2 like what they called fucking care assistants or whatever. They're not care assistants. They were like, you know, Mrs. Trunchbull. Yeah. So yeah, look, NHS, and it just gets fucking worse. I've been for. It just gets worse. Nobody can do anything. I were on phone earlier on today, and I was speaking to a doctor because I said last time, I needed some more of them injections, and so the doctor phoned me up, and I said, oh, and by the way, can you prescribe me a couple of inhalers because they've left the inhalers off me repeat for some unknown reason, and. So, yep, okay. No, I got 1 inhaler and no injections. So we've had to chase down prescription and then chase down where to get it from because you can't get it from just anywhere. So it's just been a fucking nightmare from start to finish. Nobody can do what they're supposed to.
Mm. Yeah. It just seems like there's so many holes to fall through. You're bound to fall through some of them.
Oh,
and it's almost like it's the system is that big that they expect it, and it's just kind of brushed off as oh well, yeah, it happens that. Well, it fucking shouldn't.
No, you're right.
It shouldn't happen. And then you get to the other end of the scale where you've got doctors keeping people alive because that's what the Hippocratic Oath says. And sometimes the family and the people who are actually laid there in that bed have had enough. And the drugs that they are given are actually keeping them alive beyond what a normal body would be capable of living through. And I then question, well, how humane is that? It's the opposite end of being, euthanasia. It's the opposite end of that, and somewhere in the middle has got to be where it really is. It just kind of seems all upside down and just tits up to me somehow.
Yeah, it's a shit story. I've just found out one of our recent guests has been very ill. Well, it looks like he's died actually, but he's still with us. I'm sure everybody will remember Alan Wilson, who came on a few weeks back and talked about subrogation and a few tricks for using in court. I've just seen a message he's posted on Facebook. He says, well, what is it? Well, seems I've had a little heart degeneration for some time now. Last Tuesday he collapsed and his cousin gave him CPR for 15 minutes to no avail. The ambulance shocked him 3 times and got a slight beat. Hospital-induced 36-hour coma.
God.
Papworth Hospital brought him back round. He's now going to be getting drugs to aid his heart strength, a defib to shock him should his heart start playing up, and a pacemaker. He said it's going to be a long road, but loves so many folks and they care so much too, it's going to be a breeze. So, Alan, if you hear this, mate, get well soon, and
yeah,
we'll have a catch up when you're a bit better, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's the NHS is a difficult one, and like you say, we all desperately need it when we've got legs and arms hanging off and stuff like that. But it's just failing in so many respects, and we all know that it's been designed to fail because they want to sell it off.
Yeah, it's all. Well, it is. I'm just going to say it's almost, but it is like the police. When my brother joined the police, he did so because he wanted to help people, but he counted the shifts for 12 years that he'd got to do before he could retire. Because actually what he joined, or what he thought he joined, he didn't. And it's like the people who go to be nurses and doctors. They're all joining the system for all the right reasons to then get in it and find out, fucking hell, this isn't what I signed up for, but now I've got a mortgage.
Yeah, it's amazing how easy you can back yourself into that corner, and suddenly you're running on that hamster wheel, and you never get a moment to stop and look around. But your life's so busy running on that hamster wheel, you haven't got time to think about anything, or anyone else, or anybody else's ideas. All you've got to do is make the mortgage payment, make the bloody council tax payment, make the gas, the electric, the water, all that kind of shit. And it just leaves so many people that they just don't know what to do because they're just struggling to keep their heads just above water.
Yeah. One positive thing I can say.
Oh, good. We need some positive, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the man.
A couple of days after I got... Sorry, did I mention I've been on holiday? A couple of days after I got back, a work colleague... just rang me up completely out of the blue and said, apple cider vinegar. Hey, we've got Jason's picture on the screen. Oh, God, you do look shit, mate. I'm sorry. And he said, apple cider vinegar. And I, what the fuck's apple cider vinegar? And he said, He says, I've lost a stone. I went, what? So what have you done? What diet have you been? I haven't been on a diet. So anyway, he told me about it. And I've got this bottle in my hand, apple cider vinegar. It's got with the mother, unpasteurised, gluten-free, and all the other things that I still haven't worked out whether they're important or not. But anyway, 2 tablespoons of that and a squeezed lemon in the morning, and the same before you go to bed. And I've lost 6 pounds in 2.5 weeks, and I've changed nothing other than that.
Yeah, but
Nothing.
Is that on the scale, or have you just got a fucking hole in your pocket, Ade?
Yeah. Seriously, I've done nothing. The only thing you got to remember is, as soon as you've drunk it, I mean, I try and drink it through a straw, because basically you're just drinking acid. But I just go straight and brush my teeth, because it'll just rot your teeth otherwise. But that's all I've done. And that literally is all I've done. I've lost all that in that short space of time, and that is literally all I've done. A squeezed lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of that in the morning, first thing, on an empty stomach, straight into the bathroom, brush your teeth, then have my breakfast, and then at night, and there has been 2 or 3 nights when I've been too pissed that I've forgotten and just gone to bed. So it's not every night that I've done it. I've probably missed 3 or 4 nights because I've been bollocksed. But I've changed nothing. I've not stopped drinking what I drink. I've not changed what I've eaten. Nothing. So, you know, hey, listen, if it does anybody any good, then great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, apple cider vinegar came up in a conversation I was having the other day. I was talking with somebody about somebody who'd got skin cancer.
Oh, yeah.
And we was talking about locating some Rick Simpson oil for him. But by strange synchronous coincidences, it's just part of my life now. It just seems to happen, and it's just, oh yeah. Andrew Fletcher sent me a little message on Skype saying, any chance of a quick sound check, Andy? Because he was doing an interview that night with Mel Fabregas over in the States, quite a big radio host over there, so I hope he got a lot more people hearing his information. And as we were talking about it, he came up with, oh, well, if you can't get hold of Rick Simpson oil, try black salve. And if that's too much of a ball ache, apple cider vinegar.
Yep.
It's just get a corn plaster, take the bit out the middle that draws whatever it is, I can't remember what it is, put a little ball of cotton wool soaked in apple cider vinegar in there, put it on, boom, and get rid.
Well, the guy who told me about it, he'd got a couple of moles that his doctor's been talking about taking off. And he did exactly that. Mm-hmm. And both these moles have fallen off. Wow. And he's got healed skin underneath it.
Yeah.
So, you know. But anyway, listen, if it does anybody any good, then, you know, I bought a little bottle for a start. I think it was about £7. And I just bought this one yesterday, and I think it was a tenner. And that's like nearly a litre of the stuff you get for a tenner. So I guess that'll last me 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, 2 tablespoons and a squeezed lemon in the morning, same at night, brush your teeth, jobs are good, and lost all that weight. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So anyway, Jason, seriously, mate, it really is good to see you. And you do actually look better than I imagined you would. You look shit, but you do look a bit better than I thought you would. You look fatigued.
I am fucking knackered.
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping very well. I've got this my foot because there's blood going back to it, and the fucking the nerves are coming back to life, and it's like makes it quite painful. But yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna go, guys, because I'm fucked.
Okay, mate. Good to speak to you.
Thanks for coming
Listen,
on,
everybody,
Jace.
I'll be back as soon as I can. I don't know whether I'll be on tomorrow night. It depends how I feel. If I feel the same amount better today than I did yesterday, tomorrow, than I did do today, then it'll be all right. I don't know if you work that out. But anyway, see you later, chaps. See you.
Yeah, take it easy, mate.
Jace.
I'll speak to you tomorrow, mate.
Thanks for messages as well, listeners.
Take care, brother. And I'd just like to wrap things up. Thank Ade for coming on. Jason looks like he's trying to go, but it won't shut him off. Are you trying to get off the call, Ade, for Jason?
Well, fuck. Well, let me fucking cut. Oh, it's fucking Skype.
Do you want me to cut you off?
Yeah, cut me off.
See you, mate.
Bye.
It's just the technical problems that we're having at the minute. I mean, your machine's all dead and needs bringing back to life. So you're on your laptop. You've got an M and a J that don't work very well. Mm-hmm. We've got a Webby that's at work. We've got an out-of-date website because there's you and Jason that look after it. But listen, it's amazing how many people stick with us. And we must be doing something right or wrong, or I don't know. But like I said earlier on, if you've got something you want to debate or you want to come on, drop us a message, and you know, Raconteurs news is for everybody, not just the chosen two.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Thanks for coming on and having a chat with us tonight, Ade. I'm trusting you'll be back tomorrow when Webby's back in the throng, and who knows, we might have Jason back. Let's hope we do. Because I'm sure everybody's been missing him.
I spoke to him earlier on the phone, and I think he really is feeling battered and beaten up, and I'm not surprised with what he's been through. But just shows the strength of the guy, you know. And I know he's my mate, but it does take a lot of going through anything like that, and not only for Jason, for his wife as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's
you know, and we all need somebody to love, but it's not a one-way street. It's not a one-way street, that.
No, absolutely. Talking of love, I'm going to play out with another track from Greg. So tonight's all going to be ukulele vagabond tracks. And thanks, Greg. And this, talking of someone to love, this track's called Ukulele, and it's about his ukulele. It's quite a good one. We're going to get off. Will
you be cleaning windows?
No, it's not that sort of ukulele. It's pretty cool. We'll be back same time tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and we hope you'll all be able to join us, and we'll see you then.
Good night.
Thanks.
I may not have a lady, but I've got my ukulele. In my darkest hours, her dulcet tones reach through the fog and save me. She never gives me grief, and she never acts that crazy. She always gives me blessings, and she never calls me lazy. One fateful night, a lonely Greg all by himself did shout, a lonesome weary traveller with nobody about. While he stared into her fretboard, she gave her ukulele pout. So he grabbed her body passionately and fucking strummed one out. I may not have a lady, but I've got my ukulele. In my darkest hours, her dulcet tones reach through the fog and save me. She never gives me grief, and she never acts that crazy. She always gives me blessings, and she never calls me lazy. She's my ukulele princess, she's my ukulele queen. I'll have us both locked down in ukulele quarantine. She never seems to question where I've been or who I've seen. We're the undisputed leaders of our ukulele scene. I may not have a lady, but I've got my ukulele. In my darkest hours, her dulcet tones reach through the fog and save me. She never gives me grief, and she never acts that crazy. She always gives me blessings, and she never calls me lazy. When you love your uke so openly, you get some funny stares. She's a self-confessed free spirit with no ukulele cares. Her tuneful spontaneity will catch you unawares. She smiles and shrugs her shoulders, and this is what she says. She says, the dulcet tones reach through the fog and save me. She never gives me grief, and she never acts that crazy. She always gives me blessings, and she never calls me lazy. She says, I love her rounded oak of trunk. She plays blues and jazz and soul and country folk and dance and funk. She's an artist in her own right, not a guitar that's been shrunk. She's my ukulele baby, I'm her ukulele hunk. I may not have a lady, but I've got my ukulele. In my darkest hours, her dulcet tones reach through the fog and save me. She never gives me grief, and she never acts that crazy. She always gives me blessings, and she never calls me lazy.